Here we go.
Somebody check his ID.
I would like to call to, y'all heard that? I would like to call to order this May 9th meeting of the Finance Committee of Ascension Parish. At this time, we will have the invocation and the pledge led by our new grandfather, Mr. Ken Dawson.
Show your pictures if you like.
Please stand.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you again for all the blessings that you continue to store upon us. And we know that your word said that if we allow to be great in your kingdom, we will be the servants of all. So we thank you for the opportunity to serve the people of Ascension Parish, and we ask for your wisdom. Father, we pray for Carl Amorot, Father, at the utility department, who just got a call that his mother may be having a heart attack, and we ask that you bless them, that you touch her, and we pray for all things to turn out well. Again, we thank you for the opportunity you've given us, and we pray that we serve the people of Ascension according to your standards and your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. There are several members not here tonight, most associated with either previously scheduled events or graduations. Councilman Johnson is not with us. Councilman Cagnalotti is not with us. Councilman Lambert is not with us. Councilman Turner is not with us. And Councilman Oliver Joseph is not with us. All have previously scheduled events. But I think that we do have enough, and so we will move forward with this group. I will make one comment here that we will be passing on item number 13, so do not expect that to come up. And gentlemen, I will make you aware that when we get to item number 19, the revenue and expenditure report, Amanda is not feeling well tonight, and so we are going to just have a review of that. No oral report will be given. If you have any questions, you can ask her, and she'll croak some kind of answer if she possibly can. All right. Item number, let me make a mention here that if you have any item on the agenda upon which you would like to comment, you can come forward, get with the secretary, and fill out a comment card. You'll have 3 minutes to speak at the appropriate time on that item. Item number 5, the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District Annual Report. Ben Malbrew is here with us, and he is the Executive Director of the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District. Welcome, Ben. Thank you,
ma'am. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to come give you all a snapshot of our workings last year in 2016, kind of what we are moving forward on this year currently in the first 5 months, and where we project to go forward. Just a little background, we are the Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District. We are a 4-parish area. We serve all of Terrebonne, all of Lafourche, all of Assumption, and a small portion of Ascension on the west side. It's approximately 4,300 feet on either side of Bayou Lafourche from the Mississippi River down to the Assumption Parish line. Our collections last year within the parish of Ascension were approximately $47,000. $40,000 of that was through ad valorem taxes, with the other 7 being water sales to the former People's Water. As far as our works last year, I'm sure if any of you had the opportunity to pass through the city of Donaldsonville towards the end of the year, you saw a lot of activity going on. We completed a project at the Union Pacific Railroad crossing in the heart of Donaldsonville. That was a cornerstone project for a larger program that we've been working on since, well, really back since the early 90s, but really been gaining some ground on since immediately following Hurricane Gustav in '08. We did approximately $33 million worth of work from the second quarter of 2013 through the end of 2016, and that was by way of a coastal impact assistance grant, through the state of Louisiana, through CPRA. and some additional funding through CAP, through the Parish of Assumption. So that was a real aggressive project that we started way behind the 8 ball and had a lot of catching up to do. The program expired at the end of 2016, so the monies had to be spent. So we were fortunate enough to accomplish some significant projects. To note, we did about 11 miles of channel dredging from Belrose, so just south of the Ascension Parish line, down to essentially Assumption High School. We also constructed a saltwater control structure in Lockport, which is in Lafourche Parish. We reconstructed an existing pedestrian bridge in Napoleonville that was posing an operation hindrance to us within the bayou. And we have some other projects ongoing that are more engineering and design. But like I said earlier, the cornerstone project of that whole program was that Union Pacific Railroad crossing. That's been a real hindrance to us, the city of Donaldsonville, and really to a majority of the residents that we serve on the lower end of the district, as far as inhibiting our ability to move additional fresh water past the railroad crossing in Donaldsonville. So that was a real exciting project to be a part of. It was about a $5 million project. Construction started with the site work sometime in late April and May, and then it really got hot and heavy starting Thanksgiving morning when they had a 36-hour window shutdown with no train traffic that the entire bridge had to be replaced in 36 hours. It was really an impressive project, and I can't thank Parish President Matassa enough. We had a little hiccup right there before we were to start construction. Apparently everybody freaks out when you try to close a state highway a couple hours before a project starts, but we were able to get it done. It was a public safety concern, so it was really impressive, and I hope everybody had a chance to go out there and see that project. It's something that we're really proud of. A lot of people worked very hard for a really long time. That project's been talked about really since the early 90s, and has been kicked around and kicked around and kicked around, and we were very, very fortunate with the right political pressure and a good string of luck that we were able to find the funding and get it done. So going forward, the major things that we have on our radar that we actually have ongoing now is redesigning a completely new pump station. So, and that's in obviously Ascension Parish on the flood side of the Mississippi River levee in Donaldsonville. It's adjacent to the existing pump station, and it's going to be at least twice the size of the existing station. So we, the Freshwater District, are mandated first and foremost to provide drinking water to the 4 parishes that we serve. But there's been a big push since the late 80s and early 90s to reopen Bayou Lafourche as a conveyance channel for fresh water from the Mississippi River to benefit the areas on the lower end that are combating saltwater intrusion and coastal land loss. So that's a major project. We have a water control structure project we're looking at, of locating a water control structure somewhere in the southern Ascension, northern Assumption Parish area within Bayou Lafourche. And the intent of that structure is, we've learned over the last couple of years that major rainfall events, pump station failures, things of that nature can shut us down for an extended period of time. And we need to be able to hold water back for both Ascension and Assumption in the event that something like that's needed. And then we have a project on the books to replace a boat launch in Donaldsonville. We were hoping to have that project done about 9 months ago, but we ran into some legal issues with a contractor that was working on our sediment trap, so it's delayed it, and we got some bids, and they were outrageous. So we're working with some contractors to get some more reasonable pricing, but I know the people on the west side of the parish are really looking forward to using that boat launch, and we're working diligently to get that done. So I didn't really know what kind of detail y'all wanted me to go into, so I would certainly entertain any questions that anybody would have.
We thank you for coming, and certainly I'll turn it over to these gentlemen who might have questions. Councilman Kluwat.
Ben, thank you for coming, man. Hey, real quick on the Union Pacific thing. Where was all the funding for that? Was that any shared?
It was CAP funding. All of it was CAP funding. About 800,000 of that funding came from Assumption Parish's CAP allocation. Okay, and they're a beneficiary of the project result. So that's how we were able to take some of that money and expend it actually in Ascension Parish as opposed to Assumption Parish. The remainder of that money came through CPRA, the Coastal Protection Restoration Authority, to the Freshwater District as part of their CAP allocation.
And that was grant type money?
Correct, through the Department of
Not
Interior.
bond, not payback?
Correct.
I want to make that clear for everybody.
Absolutely.
I know your budget ain't much, that's why
That's
but
correct.
you got to work hard at projects.
And find money everywhere we can, and that's tough to come by these days.
Ben, what is your total budget, if I may?
So we generate, in combining well, I'll just say, it's about $4 million, and it's about 4.2 million, and it fluctuates because we rely so heavily on ad valorem taxes, and you can imagine Lafourche and Terrebonne has taken a hit the last several years. But a majority of that is ad valorem taxes, to the tune of, we generate about $300,000 a year in water sales. So the rest of that is all ad valorem taxes. And our operation is in the ballpark of $2.1 million, and a large, obviously outside of employees, we have 14 employees, so outside of salaries, benefits, fringe, and all of that. One of our largest expenses is the actual electricity at the pump station. It's about anywhere between $300,000 to $400,000 a year that it costs us simply in electricity to operate that pump station, and it's very dependent on the fluctuations in the river. So we pray for high river, not too high, but we like high river because it allows us to siphon and pump water for free.
Fantastic. Councilman Dawson.
Thank you, Ben. I wanted to first just publicly thank you for during the flood. Ben and Nicholls State football team came down, spent a whole day with us in Sorrento and filled sandbags, and a very inspiring event for myself. But I wanted to thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Secondly, I wanted to, can you give me a little more of the schedule on when the pumps might be replaced?
So right now, we are in what I would consider an alternative analysis phase. So we're looking at two separate alternatives, layouts, pump schematics, if you will. And essentially, not to get too technical, but we're looking at how the pump is going to be configured on the batcher. And a lot of that is going to be driven by what the Corps of Engineers is going to allow us to do. Obviously, we got to look at a benefit cost ratio for both. We have to lay out the capital cost, but also a big cost, no matter which alternative we choose, is going to be the long-term operation and maintenance. Okay, and a lot of that maintenance is how do we handle the sediment that's going to be coming out of the river into the bayou? Do we handle some of that? Try to handle most of that on the river side of the pump station or of the levee, or do we do it on the bayou side? We've learned in this last iteration of dredging the maintenance, the sediment trap, that there's just not a lot of real estate for us to work with in the city of Donaldsonville. We own that little strip of property. Once again, the Parish of Ascension was very gracious in taking the material from us, which saved us a lot of money. But, I mean, it's looking like we're going to have to dredge that every year and a half, 2 years. So eventually, y'all will run out of place to put the material. We dredged 24,000 cubic yards. And so we're looking at things. Another project that we have is to permit a permanent pipeline back into the river. So the Corps of Engineers is going to drive a lot of that schedule. It's not extraordinarily complicated what we're doing because we are proposing to go over the levee. We're not going through the levee. So it's looking like we're going to have a lot of the existing configuration that we have, where we pipe out, or we may look at digging a forebay in the batcher of the levee, which obviously the Corps is going to take a real close look at. So that could drag the schedule out. But if we go with the piped-in alternative, it's not as intensive of a 408 review from the Corps, we hope. But, you know, in dealing with the Corps of Engineers, sometimes you're at their mercy. It could be 9 months, it could be 18 months, it could be 5 years. So that's going to drive the schedule. The actual design of the pump station should not take longer than a year. So it's going to be the 408 review that drives a lot of that. And then, of course, that's to get the final design. Then we need $60 million to construct it. And we're looking at, you know, potentially some restore BP oil spill settlements for that, Go Mesa possibly. We're looking everywhere.
Okay.
So ideally, 5 years, we'll be turning dirt, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, thank you. And thank you again, tell the Nickel State. Too.
Absolutely. We appreciate that. I mean, we appreciated doing that and really enjoyed it. And it was definitely an eye-opening experience for not just myself, but the young guys, the football players at Nickel. So we were glad to help.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Slattery, any questions?
Fine.
Okay, thank you. Mr. President.
Well, I just want to throw accolades at Mr. Ben. He did a great job on that project, and look, it was so fine-tuned. He had like an hour window to finish before the rail was coming. And you know what it is when you stop commerce, and there's a lot of commerce on that track. And when those guys, I think the train had passed when they, like 100 yards, and they had their picks and everything out and taking that track out. And so Ben told me, you know, at 11 o'clock he had to have it finished. He had it finished, but then the switch, what they didn't use for I don't know how many years, got locked up. It took them hours to fix that, but they did a great job on it. It looks really nice. When you go in my office on that counter, I have a picture of that project. Great project, and the dock, it would be a little floating dock.
That's what we're looking at now.
You know, and it's used by the people of Donaldsonville in a boat by themselves. If you had somebody with them, it wouldn't matter. But most of those guys are used to by themselves, so they need something to tie their boat up. So Ben is working on that project.
Yeah, we're working.
We appreciate you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Mr. Dawson.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quick, I think, Ben, we talked on the phone maybe a couple of times. We haven't met. I just want to let this body know that we are working very closely with them on how we're going to make the transfer from the pumps that we're using now to the new ones. We've had some discussions, and we are excited about that. Carl is working with them, so that communication is definitely going forth. It's going to be, I think, a seamless transition because we can't afford not to take water out of the bayou when we're providing fresh water to the residents of Donaldsonville. But that plan is in place, and as we move forward, I just think it's going to be a seamless transition. And I want to thank you for your efforts.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And we were very excited to see that acquisition take place, and I'm much happy that we'll be working with y'all on that relocation, I can promise you. So that's it. Unless anybody has any other questions, I'm certainly willing to come back or sit down with any of y'all to give more detail. I didn't want to take up too much time, but it's genetics. I ramble on. I apologize.
Look, you did a fantastic job. You helped us to better understand the function of your organization, and it's helpful to us to understand those things, and certainly for the public to understand how all of these various organizations work together for their benefit. Thank you for coming.
Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
Number 6, a memorandum of understanding between Ascension Parish government and the Ascension Parish Assessor's Office for cost sharing in acquiring newly updated 2017 aerial imagery. Parish will provide funds in the not-to-exceed amount of $17,500. And Mr. O'Day, good to have you with us today.
Yes, good evening, Finance Committee, Madam Chairwoman. As most of you know, the parish uses this aerial imagery pretty much on a daily basis, and it's also used by the citizens of the parish that access our web maps. With this agreement, the assessor's office has paid a total of $152,671 for this aerial imagery, and they're asking their taxing entities to help pay in the cost. Our portion is the $17,500. In the past, my office has worked directly with these aerial imagery consultants and had to pay 100% of the cost of this. So with this effort, all the entities
second.
I have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, a second by Councilman Randy Cluott. I heard so many seconds, I doubt there will be an objection. I do want let's get this vote out of the way. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. And I'll take this opportunity to thank our assessor, who is seated in the back of the room there, and his able assistant, Justin Chamlin. Mert, thank you for being here. Justin, thank you for being here. Do you all have anything you want to say to us?
Well, we'd like to thank you.
That's good.
I'd like to thank you very much, and just as the parish wants to have the best system, we also do. Can you come to the mic?
Mert, why don't you come and say your little thank you there to the mic so that the citizens can hear from you and.
Well, I'd like to thank Brandon for bringing this up. We got with the parish president and all, and he said that this would be the best way to do it. And thank you, Brandon, for doing it. And I'd like to thank y'all again because, you know, what we are certainly an arm of parish government. We collect $123 million in ad valorem tax, and that goes to all the different taxing bodies. So, you know, whenever we can cooperate like this, it makes everybody's job easier, and we stay on the cutting edge, and it's good to be first at something instead of being last at something. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Okay. Thank you, Brandon. Item number 7, a service agreement with Works Time, LLC, for the reporting and tracking required by the ACA, Affordable Care Act, for Human Resources Department. Christy Anderson is here tonight representing them.
Hi, good evening, everyone. The contract for approval with Works Time, LLC is for the Affordable Care Act tracking and reporting. It's an annual cost, and they work with us to report to the IRS the employees who did or did not or were not offered health care coverage.
I'll make that motion.
All right, I have a motion by Councilman Randy Cluott and a second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any questions?
Quick question.
Yes,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Cluott.
What's the, for everybody to know, what's the value of the contract?
It's $7,000
Good deal.
annual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
7,000. Any other
Any other-
questions? Mr. Satterley?
Yeah, considering repeal and replace that's being considered, is this something, I mean, we still are required by law right now to do the Obamacare
Yes, sir.
situation.
Yeah, right now we are still required to do the reporting and are being advised to continue reporting even though there are pending repeal and replace depending on what happens. But as for now, it's business as usual.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions? Hearing none.
Thank you.
We had a motion, a second. Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Item number 8, substantial completion of the flood repair of the Mosquito Control Office. Eric DeRoche. I don't see Eric, so if someone would like to help us to understand the substantial completion and make sure we are
Maybe the COA.
prepared to do that. We have the certificate
Well,
here.
as y'all know, it was flooded, and we got a contractor in there to get it all fixed up, and it has in the papers, they have the punch list, which is remaining, but they're looking for substantial completion.
I'll make a motion pending the punch list is completed.
I'll second the motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert to accept the substantial completion pending the punch list, and seconded by Councilman Aaron Lawler. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 9, an amendment, number 1, to a contract between the Bugman and Ascension Parish government for an additional $200 for the additional location of Henderson Bayou Pump Station for pest control. The total contract amount will have a new not-to-exceed amount of $9,558.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Kluwat, second by Councilman Lawler. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 10, amendment to contract between River Parish Security Systems and Ascension Parish Government to add an additional location, Parish Utilities of Ascension, for lease, maintenance, monitoring, additional 204
Motion.
quarter
Second.
for this location? Oh, $204 per quarter for this location. A motion by Councilman Bill Dawson. I think I heard that second from Councilman Satterley, was it?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 11, approval of a settlement of claim loss of recreation building during August the 2016 flood event located at 95404 Stringer Bridge Road, Santa Maria, Louisiana. Total amount is $166,000.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Kluwat and a second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any questions? Councilman Satterley.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm just curious, the building value is given as $766,000, less a deductible of $600,000. I'm curious why the deductible is so high.
Because under the plan that we have an excess insurance policy, and the first we have a $100,000 deductible, but there's also a deductible for the NFIP amount, which is $500,000, which is what we're making the claim with for FEMA. In fact, we're making a claim with FEMA for the full amount of the replacement cost.
So
This is what our insurance company owes us.
So it's a federal government issue,
No,
It's an
this-
issue of NFIP.
which is the
After
federal.
Hurricane
Insurance.
Sandy, they changed the rules on that, but we have an additional $100,000 under our policy.
Thank you, O'Neill.
So I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 12, the renewal of an intergovernmental agreement between the Town of Sorrento and Ascension Parish Government to allow the parish to enforce on behalf of the Town of Sorrento the Louisiana State Uniform Construction Code within the town's corporate limit.
Motion, Madam Chairman.
I have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert,
Second.
second by Councilman Randy Kluwat.
Question.
Any questions?
I have a
Councilman Kluwat.
Yes, O'Neill, can you shed any light, or Ken?
Sure, I
on
can.
this?
We do all their inspections for them,
I
and
just
we
wanted to
collect the
explain for
fees.
everybody.
So we get paid the money, we just do the inspections for them. They don't have an inspection department, but we collect all the money.
Yeah, I know that, speaking to the mayor a while back, they were looking at going into doing their own, but I know as of last week that we're still doing it, so,
Right, and this is a contract renewing now.
yeah, I'm good.
So we have renewed that contract. We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 14, authorization to amend the contract between Ascension Parish Government and M&H Builders Incorporated for the DPW building retrofit, adding change order number 001 to increase the contract sum by $51,575 and add an additional 75 days to the contract time. The total amended contract will be $439,575. Mr. Enlow?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
This is the first change order. We had quite a few changes at our request to the building, due in part mainly from the, reorganizing of offices. We tore down a few walls, and we found quite a few things that maybe weren't up to building code in the building. So the original contract amount was $388,000. There's an explanation for the days. I think the first change order, or the first item we changed, was around August 25th, which was right after the flood. So there's some days in there due to the flood where it wasn't feasible for them to get in there and continue working. We phased the building in 2 phases and kind of squeezed into one half and then into the second half. So it looks a lot better, and it's more of Seems like a better environment now with a lot of the painting and new floors and stuff like that, so came out pretty good.
Fantastic. Our
You-
folks deserve to work in a atmosphere that is conducive to good, productive work.
Well, it was pretty old, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert and a second by Councilman Randy Kluwat. I have several questions I hear already. I'll begin with Mr. Dawson.
Okay. I just wanted to see, what is this, the cost that we're at so far relative to the budgeted amount?
It's a little complicated. The budgeted amount, I believe, was around $460,000, but that included some work that the IT department had to do, which was rewiring and changing out, I think, some of the server panels and racks, some alarm system integrations and things like that. So it was kind of split. PJ Peterson managed that part. So I want to say, I can get you that number at a later date, but around $460,000 total. Our part was originally $388,000, so. that
We're at
gives you-
439. This will put us at 439. You said 460, but that includes some work that
Yes, sir.
Brandon did, or?
Yes, sir. It may have been 450,000. I apologize for not having that budget number for you. Yep.
Okay.
I can get back to you with the accurate information at a later date, if you like.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Todd his question has been answered as well, so if you'll send out something to all of us and let us know what the budgeted amount was for that, please.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, let's see, okay, we have a motion and a second. Questions have been asked. Any further questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 15, authorization to amend the contract between Ascension Parish Government and M&H Builders Incorporated for the DPW building retrofit, adding change order number 2 to increase the contract sum by $14,578 and adding an additional 10 days to the contract time. The total contract sum, including the change order, will be $454,153.
Motion.
A motion by Councilman Kluwat,
I'll second.
a second by Councilman Dawson,
Question?
a question by Councilman Kluwat.
Mike, this is based on these two change orders, this is scope changes that we requested. I can only assume because they're asking for time on both of them.
Yes, sir. The majority of the changes are at our request. To be specific, we tore down, I think, 4 walls and adjusted one to make it an official break room instead of using the conference area, which was upgraded. And taking down those walls, we felt that it would add more of an open space. Employees could work in there and kind of get to more of a, I guess, a cubicle type environment where not everybody has offices. We felt that would be more productive, so that was the
All right,
reasons.
All right, so in your best expectations, and I know you basically in here could have been you or Mr. Rue, but in your best expectations, this it?
This is going to be it for the renovations, yes, sir.
Right. And back to the budget question, while you gathering information, is, when you had before on the prior, that you, the prior was, 3-something, say 380 something, and then now, and then you went to 439. Was that the total, counting, IT's portion?
No, sir.
Okay, so in other words, we're talking about just increasing y'all portion.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I
wanted
can,
to clear that up.
I can identify those numbers again and get it
Yeah.
back to this body to straighten it out.
I just wanted to clear up that this is all mechanical. This is, the IT is being still part of a budget, but being handled.
Yes, and to be clear, the changes didn't occur for the IT portion because the wires were run through the ceiling tiles and taking down a wall, we didn't add any receptacles that needed to be added. We deleted a few, but upgrades to the electrical portions of it in the ceiling from back, I couldn't tell you when it was built, but they weren't good. And
Mr. Dawson?
Maybe finance can help, but in the cover sheet, it says the budget amendment will be done. Does that mean that it's over budget?
It means that there's not enough money in the budget right this second in the office building construction fund, and that's why the budget amendment will be done. So technically, right this second, there is not enough money there.
It doesn't say how it is. Does that mean anything as far as relative to what was budgeted for this project?
No, there's some other costs when you have a total project like this. There was also engineering or architect costs to do the design, and then there was also the IT, and I can get those amounts and discuss it with Mike. I may have budgeted a little bit too much, but I would always like to go a little bit higher just in case there's another change order and I don't have to do another. I know there's not supposed to be one, but, and also if we had any other additional costs that would come up. So this budget amendment is to cover the change orders.
So, can I just clarify?
Sure.
The budget amendment, it doesn't necessarily mean it's over the budget, or does that mean it's over the budget or
The
not?
total project would be over the budget when you
Okay.
add all the costs together.
Okay,
Everything that's involved with the project, not necessarily the construction contract part of it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I got you. But the whole project is over budget, that's why we're having to amend the budget.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
I mean, myself, I'd like to know how much it's over. Does anybody have any idea?
Again, I'll get back to you with a precise number. I'm almost positive it was, may have been 425. I remember the 388 was, that came in was under budget.
Yeah, the construction part was under budget. That contract was under budget, but there's more cost involved with this than just the construction itself.
Okay.
If that, I mean, you have engineering or architect to do the design and
No, I
things
mean,
like
I'll
that.
follow all that. I'm just, I'm not happy voting for it, not knowing what the budget is and where we are relative to it.
I apologize. I should have had that information for you.
Don't do it again.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
May I assume, based on the letters that are in here from the contractor, that this work has already been done?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so all the work has been done then?
It's been done, yes, sir.
I just want to be clear, because I'm looking at, I think it's item number 17 on our agenda, is the budget amendment. This money's, to pay for this is coming out of our road and drainage funds. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yep.
And
Not road construction.
not road construction?
Not road construction. Road and bridge, just a regular maintenance fund.
Oh.
And East Ascension's drainage is maintenance fund. Yeah.
But I mean, wouldn't that be money that we could use for maintenance of bridges?
Yeah, it would have been.
If money was put into the construction fund, yes, it would have to be transferred there.
Yeah. Just making a point there.
Well, this one is approved and is it from the office building construction fund? What was the original date of the approval of this project? Do we know?
The original, excuse me, the original contract date is July 12th, I believe.
Okay. Okay, and you're going to get back with us on the information relative to the actual budgeted amount of the contract?
Yes, ma'am. I'll get back with you with all the details. We started design with MWL in 2015, I believe.
Yeah, it was on the last administration when we started this project and started the actual design. So that carried on for a particular design as it was functioning at the time. I think some of the increased costs because there was a change in the structure. So I think Bill changed some of the offices, which increased the cost. And I think Mike is right. I think the initial budget came in around $300 and some odd thousand. I don't know about around that number. I remember. But again, the cost was increased because there were some changes made because we restructured departments and there were some changes made in office locations and things of that nature.
Okay. So I think what would be helpful is if, correct me if this happened and we are not recalling it, but as these changes are being made, we need to be approving those at the time so that we're not trying to catch up on the back end with change orders.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's.
If we could possibly have a heads up early, then we can wrap our minds around what's being changed and why, and then we're not shocked when we get a change order.
Yes, ma'am. Ideally, that's how we'd like it to work. Yes, ma'am.
Well, in the best of worlds, that's how it would work, and so we'll encourage that we do it, in the best possible way. All right. Any other questions?
Quick question.
Mr. Kluot.
Mr. Dawson, since you've been, through this project, do you feel like the upgrades, rebuild everything, it's good and efficient, and it's gonna serve the purpose?
Absolutely. I think that it
That
does.
building was not in good shape. By any means, I would guarantee that you open any wall in that building, you would find a problem with it.
Yes, sir.
You know?
You remember a few years ago, we actually had mold in the building. We actually had to mediate that. So we had a lot of issues in the building. Now, since we've done this upgrade, we repaired the roof, we've done a lot. I think the employees have a wonderful place to work. It's been upgraded. We had several meetings in the conference room that Mike talks about. I mean, it functions very, very well now. So, as you said, Councilwoman Casso, Madam Chairman, that it's something that they could be proud to come in and conduct business.
Well, I'm gonna just tell you that we've had some departments that were privileged to move into a new building, okay?
Yes, sir.
Some departments, based on feasibility and work and logistics, had to stay over there. So
Yes.
I'm proud that they do have something nice to work in.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And I share your sentiments, Randy. Any other question? Okay, so now you're going to be laughing at me, Mike, because I know y'all were laughing the other night about how we couldn't keep track of where we were in motions and seconds and
That's
all
untrue.
of that. So
That's untrue.
that's untrue?
That's
Okay.
untrue.
All right. I didn't see all that cackling going on back there. I'm kidding, y'all. We have a motion, we have a second, we have had significant discussion. Do we have any objections? Yes, Mr. Dawson?
I have an objection.
All right, then we shall duly note that. Roll call.
No, I mean, I would like to see it brought back with the budget.
We have a motion and a second.
I have a motion and a second. If you would like to make a substitute motion, Mr.
I'll
Dawson.
offer a motion to defer to next month where we can look at the budget.
I'll second that.
Now I have a motion and a second to defer to next month with the budget available. Any questions about that? Any objections to that? Hearing none, that motion passes. Right.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, Mike. Item number 16, the monthly contract report.
Good evening. You have before you the monthly contract report for all contracts that were new and renewals that were entered into in the month of April.
Gentlemen, does anyone have any questions about the monthly contract report? Hearing no questions, Ms. Sandra, we thank you for making it available to us. All right, item number 17, a budget amendment. Number 2, approval to introduce an ordinance to amend the 2017 budget. Ms. Dawn.
Good evening. You have before you the ordinance for budget amendment number 2, which reads as follows. An ordinance to amend the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2017 operating capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on the 17th day of November 2016. Section 1. The Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2017 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Operating budget, general fund. Video programming, upgrades to equipment in the council chambers. Expenditures, professional services, $30,000. Acquisitions, vehicles and equipment, $50,000. Road and Bridge Fund, expenditures and other financing uses, transfer out to the Office Building Construction Fund, $33,500. East Ascension Drainage Fund, expenditures and other financing uses, transfer out to Office Building Construction Fund, $33,500. Fire District Number 1, construction of Geismar Volunteer Fire Department Station and Galvez Lake Volunteer Fire Department Substation. Expenditures and other financing uses, transfers out to Fire District Number 1 Construction Fund, $3,500,000. Capital budget, Road Construction Fund, revenues, grants, negative $6,215,000. Expenditures, appropriations and grants, negative $6,200,000. Contract payments, $3 million. Office Building Construction Fund, the DPW East Building renovations, revenues, transfers in from Road and Bridge Fund, $33,500. Transfer in from East Ascension Drainage Fund, $33,500. Expenditures, contract payments, $67,000. Fire District Number 1 Construction Fund, construction of the Geismar Volunteer Fire Department Station and Galvez Lake Volunteer Fire Department Substation. Revenues and other financing sources, transfers in from Fire District Number 1, $3,500,000. Expenditures, architect and landscaping services, $250,000. Professional services, $50,000. Contract payments, $3,200,000. The CDBG Construction Fund for Parish Sewer, revenues, LRA CDBG grant, $4,554,000. Expenditures, CDBG Parish Sewer, $4,554,000.
This has to be deferred.
There.
Pardon?
I was,
Having read the budget amendment, do we have any questions?
well, I don't have a question. I believe that we need to amend this budget. And I'm going to make, well, it's my understanding that we're transferring road and bridge and East Ascension drainage money right now, but we did not move forward on the work orders, on the change orders. So we're transferring money without having approved the change orders that money's moving forward to.
Correct.
So I don't want to delay the rest of this budget amendment by eliminating the entire thing. So what I'd like to do is make a motion to amend this ordinance to redact the road and bridge fund expenditures and other financing uses, transfer out of Office Building Construction Fund, $33,500. East Ascension Drainage Fund expenditures and other financial uses, transfer out to Office Building Construction Fund, $33,500. And then further down below, where it says, yes, where it says, yeah, the second part, right here. Yeah, Office Building Construction Fund, DPW East Building renovations. Where is it? Revenues, transfer in from Road and Bridge Fund, $33,500. Transfer in from East Ascension Drainage Fund, $33,500. Expenditures, contract payments, $67,000. So what that's doing is that's keeping the ordinance and moving all the money that we agree to move, but we're not going to move the money for the change orders that we haven't approved and that we won't approve until next meeting.
Dawn, do you have a preference on how this is done?
No, I mean, that's fine. I mean, we can just remove that. Those
Yeah.
two items, I mean, those two different funds, yeah.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
So, the Secretary, have you recorded all of that sufficiently?
Yes, I'm going to go back and review it too.
I didn't
Okay.
follow that.
If we have a paper copy, it'd be easier for me to redact it. I just have a computer
I got a
copy.
paper copy that we can transfer that to, but it basically, you move it from your, moving those two expenditures out for the DPW building and then transferring them back in a different budget. He wants to remove all that has to do with those monies moving from both East Ascension Drainage and Road and Bridge Fund.
So Aaron, will you do that in the form of a motion, please, so that we
Yes.
can?
You just did.
Yes,
You
I
did?
did, yes. And a
Okay.
motion to amend.
And
Second.
Motion to amend, I have a second by Councilman Satterly, and we can work out the logistics of it here. And then, are there any questions?
I got a quick question.
Okay, so I see several. I'll start this time to my left with Councilman Kluwat.
Yeah, just real quick, is Mr. Enlow or Mr. Rue, whoever comes with the administration back next month with the explanation, but the fact is that this work is being done.
It's completed.
That's it,
Yeah.
it's done, okay? It was needed work, so that's all I got.
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. Kluwat, unless it's a exceptionally large amount, when we make these decisions on the change orders, you know, like in the meeting's not gonna be for 2 weeks, we do that to have it done where it won't, the guy won't come back and charge us more. So we make those little decisions like that. If it'd be something extraordinary, we wouldn't do the work first, but, and that's what comes about it. Should have had everything with it, no, tonight. Thank you.
Well, I think it was his first presentation of something like this, so we'll grant him a little leeway on that. Yes, Bill?
So is it 14, you're just gonna not move 14,000? Is that, we approved the other?
Because you approved the other one.
We,
Yes.
No, he's
Number
got-
14.
These two.
We approved the first one, we
We
didn't approve
approved
the
the one, it was
second.
like 51,000. We didn't approve the one for 14,000 some odd.
Correct.
You can make the budget amendment and not pay the bill.
Well,
till
I'm wondering
afterwards.
this, do we have to go through these machinations for 14,000? Can we just transfer the money over? And, I mean, what we're waiting for here is to see where the budget is. I mean, I don't,
Making it complex.
Yeah, I think we're trying to
Okay.
make it more complicated.
Yeah.
We can approve this before the change orders are paid.
right,
okay.
right.
Okay.
I just don't want to be moving money and then it not get approved next
So is
meeting.
that, are you gonna withdraw your?
Withdraw.
I'll
the motion.
withdraw my motion and amendment.
Okay.
So
So I
we
have
have-
another, can I ask another question?
No. Yes, you may. Please, Bill.
So how are those decisions made, like in this case, to transfer to build the building out of these two funds? Or is the whole building being built out of these two funds, or were these, just these extras being funded from that?
At the time, in 2015, that was where the most of the personnel was coming from, was for all of DPW, that is why Road and Bridge and East Ascension Drainage put in the money.
So the
That's what I was told.
the building has been funded from these two funds all along. That's not just for these extras, is that correct?
No.
I mean, I can't go,
In the past years, they've
but
always
from the
been
beginning of this
funded out of them
project,
two
yes.
accounts.
From the
Okay.
beginning of this project, yes.
That's what's
Yeah.
housed at that
It's
building.
funded by the occupants.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't going and getting the extras from some different place where the building was.
No.
Okay. Secondly, is it correct that the revenue decrease of 6.215 million is the Edenborn, the money we were going to get from Edenborn? Is that
Yes, it
correct?
is. And the actual cost of 6.2 was the St. Landry Edenborn Road portion, which is why the contract payments are now 3 million. I know that contract came in at 2.4, but I've always seemed to see change orders. So that's the reason we just have the money done like that.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have no need, we're not going to go through the mechanics. So do I have a motion to approve this budget amendment?
I'll make the
number
motion.
2?
I'll make the
Thank
second.
you very much. You don't say anything. No, I'm trying to keep Bill out of this one. All right, I have a motion by Councilman Lawler, a second by Councilman Kluwat, and Mr. Dawson is not going to comment. And do we have any other questions? Any objections? And hearing none, that motion passes. Thank you all very much on that one. And now we will move along to item number 18, the sales and use tax report. Ms. Gwynn.
Good afternoon. You have before you your sales and use tax report. Represents collections made for the month of March based on the February sales. East Ascension Drainage, you can see their numbers are up unlike sales tax district number 1 and sales tax district number 2. And of course, that the two sales tax districts were affected by the CF expansion comparison to last year. So we'll probably see that negative figures for quite a while. But if you would take out the amount of money collected due to that expansion, the revenues are actually a little bit higher than they were last year. Not much, but they would have been a positive figure. And that is represented, you can see, by East Ascension Drainage, who was not affected by that construction project. The budget comparisons, you can see at 25% of the year, all three of our sales tax districts are up so far this year. On the second page, where it shows just sales tax district number 1, the good news is all of our sectors compared to year-to-date 16 compared to 17, all three of the first three sectors were up, and some pretty significantly. And then you can see the petrochemical industry, it was down year-to-date by 18.6%, so that's representing that big construction project also. And also, the good news is that our consumer retail and motor vehicles and businesses are all up. And that is depicted on the pie chart on the next page. So, you know, two things are happening here of pretty significant. The petrochemical industry is down, of course, from year-to-date from, and this is representing only the 1 cent sales tax also, but at the same time, our consumer retails and motor vehicles and businesses are still up. Some of that could be attributable to the flood still, you know, but hopefully it'll continue to diversify our economy to a better degree. And the last is the history chart of all three of the districts, and you can see that represents just what I said. The yellow is year-to-date, and the red is the remainder for the years that already from 28 to 2016. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Gentlemen, does anyone have any questions for Ms. Gwynn? All right, Ms. Gwynn, thank you so much for that report.
Right, welcome.
At this time, if you all will look over your revenue and expenditure report, Amanda is seriously not feeling well, and so rather than have her have to read all this off, we're just going to review it. If anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Any questions, gentlemen? Hearing none, we will move along to the bid items. Item number 20, to accept the lowest responsive bid, and Ms. Joan is out ill, so glad to have you with us.
Thank you. I'd like to point out on the first radiator coil repairs and debris removal, the paperwork stated that we received 3 quotes. We, in fact, did only receive 2. That was a typographical error. Those bids were received from Delcon and Wharton Smith. After review, the Purchasing Department and the East Ascension Drainage District Number 1 Department recommends accepting the lowest responsive bid quote submitted by Delcon LLC and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this service.
Motion.
A motion by Councilman Randy Cluott, a second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
On April 19th, 2017, the Purchasing Department received 3 bids for 30-pound riprap per ton. Bids were received from Bear Industries, Pine Bluff Sand and Gravel Company, and Lafarge. After review, the Purchasing Department and the Major Drainage Department recommends accepting the lowest responsive bid from Lafarge and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this material.
Motion.
A motion by Councilman Bill Dawson, second by Councilman Satterly. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
On April 25th, 2017, the Purchasing Department received one bid for the right to act as official journal. The bid was received by Gonzales Weekly Citizen. After review, the Ascension Parish Secretary recommends accepting the bid submitted by the Gonzales Weekly Citizen for this item and for it to be placed on the Ascension Parish Council agenda on June 1st. This is in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 43, Section 141A, which states that this has to be placed on the first meeting in June.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Randy Cluott. Yes, Mr. Dawson?
I just want to ask O'Neill a question. Is this, the one bid, is that because of the charter? Because we,
It's because of state law, which says who can qualify to be your official journal, and the only one that qualifies is the weekly.
it seems like, do you remember that, Terry? There was something about it, the charter says something about being a locally owned newspaper or something to that effect?
The charter says the same thing that the state law
Okay,
says.
so it's
The
not
only one-
something that's particular to the charter?
No, we have requested others to bid, but they say they don't comply, so they won't bid.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank
I
you.
have a motion to adjourn by Councilman Todd Lambert. Sure, we got a second.
I just get a little nervous if we're back money to something, but